Meantime, a senior commander of the Iranian armed forces says that the U.S. should act responsibly to avoid any risk to the lives of American forces in the Middle East. Major General Ghulam Ali Rashid says that the U.S. administration should avoid any misconduct in order to protect its troops. He has stressed in case of a war, no country would be able to manage its scope and timing. Rashid has stressed the whole region will either enjoy stability or get overwhelmed by conflict, which may spread uncontrollably. He underlined the national interests of all the countries in the region are intertwined. The top general noted that the Islamic Republic does not seek a war, but Iranian armed forces are ready to defend the country against any aggression with absolute might. The U.S. National Security Advisor has once again threatened Iran amid heightened tensions between the two countries over Iran's downing of an intruding American spy drone.
Neither Iran nor any other hostile act should mistake U.S. prudence and discretion for weakness. No one has granted them a hunting license in the Middle East. As President Trump said on Friday, our military is rebuilt, new, and ready to go. The President said, I just stopped the strike from going forward at this time. We expect that the new sanctions President Trump referred to...
Now, John Bolton, who was talking alongside Israeli Premier Benjamin Netanyahu, added that the U.S. will continue to increase pressure on Iran by imposing more sanctions. Bolton said that new economic restrictions previously pledged by President Trump will be announced on Monday. Netanyahu also accused Iran of launching a campaign of aggression in the region, saying it has been stepped up since the nuclear deal. Iran says Israel is the main source of instability in the region, with its nuclear weapons stockpile and its support for terrorist groups, including those operating in Syria. From Ontario, we have Jason Unruhe, political commentator, joining us. Good to have you with us, Jason. You just heard Mr. Bolton, and he was talking about sanctions, that are going to be announced on Monday, and already the U.S. reimposed actually the previous sanctions. So sanctions on top of sanctions at the same time, offering of talks, and as Mr. Trump made it clear, without any preconditions. I mean, I just don't get this.
No, this is very much the schizophrenic nature of U.S. foreign policy, or general U.S. policy we have seen since Donald Trump has come to the White House. I think this is very reflective of the fact that the political culture in the United States is very divided. There are many sides pulling the president in many directions, and usually the decision that ends up getting made is the one that feeds Trump's own ego. I'm sure that he feels that he did Iran a favor by not carrying out the strike that he claims he stopped 10 minutes before it happened, because he was concerned for the 150 people. Yet he had absolutely no concern for the some odd 40,000 people that have suffered in Venezuela as a result of the sanctions that the United States has placed upon them. So what I think is going on here is that Trump is actually just winging it, and is being perhaps very careful about where he goes, because anything he does right now will certainly reflect upon the next election, which he has previously announced that he will be trying to continue his reign as president. And one of the problems that Trump has faced is that he's not lived up to the promises that he has made. He promised to punish Wall Street. He promised to end the wars. He promised to build the wall. And so far, he has not delivered on any of these things. We're reminded of a tweet that he made when Obama was in office, saying that he was going to start a war with Iran in order to save his presidency. And seeing that kind of image perhaps reflected in his own actions right now probably isn't making him look very good in the eyes of many of his supporters. So I think what we have here is a very half-hearted attempt to try to play both good cop and bad cop by simultaneously saying they want to come to the table, yet taking provocative actions by sending a drone into Iranian airspace.
Yeah, just like Bernie Sanders saying that he set fire to a paper basket and then just simply put it off. And Jason, I got one more question, and that is Benjamin Netanyahu also says that Iran is launching a campaign of aggression in the region. This was a natural response to an intruding drone, wasn't it?
Well, it certainly is, and it's nothing short of hypocritical for Israel to accuse anybody of being aggressive inside the region. Israel themselves fund most of the terrorist groups that operate throughout the Middle East, particularly in Syria. They are known to protect ISIS fighters. They are known to give material support to Al Qaeda inside of Syria. They've made provocative moves against the Golan Heights, carried out strikes against the Syrian government, not to mention their interference in American politics alone with these specialists going in and lobbyists interfering in U.S. politics, not to mention the numerous times that they've assassinated nuclear scientists inside of Iran, a complete violation of Iranian sovereignty, and yet somehow acting as though that it's Iran who is the aggressor. I mean, this is just simply nonsense. And in my personal opinion, I feel was probably behind the bombing of the oil tanker that was eventually blamed on that was intended to be blamed on Iran, but that's just my opinion. So I think that it's ridiculous for Israel, who has violated everybody's territory, whose entire country is founded on the violation of someone else's territory, the theft of Palestinian land, to make that kind of accusation of anyone.
Mm-hmm.